Hello everybody, and just here, and welcome to I don't actually know what I'm gonna call it yet. Probably something like a midpoint summary, midway summary, I don't know, something along those lines. It's a new thing to the channel. I don't do the vlog things very often, first of all, without any like actual anime shown in the corner. There's gonna be some, so don't you worry none. And I don't usually do videos that are even like remotely scripted, but now I have like a nice little note that I can refer to. For the past week, not the whole week, I've been preparing for a little bit of a visit to my family on like well, not the other end of the country, but close to that. And I've been kind of busy, and I'm going to be busy for the, weekend, Friday to Sunday, and I'm not going to be able to release any videos on YouTube then, because I'm not going to cart my whole setup there on a train. And YouTube needs to know that I'm alive, so I'm going to have to release some video at least, and that is it. Now, so that you don't think that it's just just a filler that doesn't, I'm just gonna be sitting here talking about nothing. No, I would actually like to take the opportunity to talk about the seasonal shows that I'm watching. I've been playing with this idea for a while now. What if I made a video after perhaps watching like 3 episodes of each of the seasonals that I'm watching right now, and talk to you a little bit about them, tell you if I like them, if I don't like them, if I recommend them, give a little bit of a synopsis maybe, right? Stuff like that. Because I know that not everybody is going to be watching all of those shows, and maybe some people would want a recommendation from me. Maybe it carries some weight, I don't know. And I thought that might be a good idea. So, getting like 2 birds with 1 stone, right? I'm gonna have a video to release over the weekend, and you're gonna have my recommendations when it comes to the how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasonal anime, 4.5 really, that I'm watching this season. And it's gonna be a little bit scripted, as I said. I have like a little notes to read here. It's probably gonna be lightly edited as well. I'm gonna put like screenshots and stuff in the corner. I might, I don't know, probably not do much more editing than that. We'll see. We'll see. So, how about we start, right? Shall we? Isekai Shikkaku. Isekai Shikkaku, no longer allowed in another world. This one's very interesting. It tells a story of one Osamu Dazai, who's apparently a Japanese author as well, and he writes some very depressing and sad and stuff like that stories, right? Like, I think one of his stories is No Longer Human, that talks about person's fall, succumbing to alcoholism and stuff like that. Not much fun to be had with that person, and he got isekai'd to another world. And this show talks about his adventures and misadventures. It's made by Atelier Pondark, who made Isekai Oji-san and Ganbare Doki-chan before, and it has a very interesting cast, because the main character, Osamu Dazai, is voiced by Hiroshi Kamiya, who voiced Levi, who voiced Araragi from Monogatari, and who voiced Itoshiki, the titular sensei in Zetsubo Sensei. And let me say, it's a very fitting, basically reprisal of that role. Then we also have Rumi Okubo among the cast, who's playing Annette, and also Mutsuki, both in Blue Archive and Azure Lane, interestingly, who's playing Astolfo, and also Chinatsu from Yuru Yuri. We also have Sayumi Suzushiro, who's playing Tama, another one of our, like, 4 actually main characters. She's also playing Pils Dunant in Shy Rene, the puffy, not Chuchu, the other puffy-haired girl in Witch from Mercury, and Noah in Blue Archive, another Blue Archive voice actress, and finally Makoto Koichi, who only recently appeared in the show itself, playing Nier, And Makoto Koichi also played Lloyd from Seventh Prince, which is a fitting role, as well as Kei in Shangri-La and Mao Satan in Hataraku Mao-sama. Now, when it comes to my overall impressions and recommendation, I had mixed feelings about the first episode or two. They felt kind of little boring, a little aimless. There wasn't really any like particular goal that we would be going towards. But later on, this show really did get a proper direction. It got the drive. It got like clearly quantifiable goals. So it's not a show that starts immediately, but it does get all those necessary things for a story to be interesting. It has some really cool play on some tropes, and most importantly, it has a very unique main character. In that the tropes it uses might make the show feel very classic and standard, because it's not playing with them all that much. It's not a deconstruction of the isekai genre, but it's the main character who essentially does it. Osamu Dazai in the show is so unique that it creates that very nice contrast between the world and how the main character reacts to it and interacts with it. Very unique, but as I said, it takes a little bit to start finding its space, finding its bearing. One thing that might be a pro or a con for you depends. So far, it seems to be fairly light on like lore and world building and stuff like that. We're mostly just focused on characters and on their journey, really. It really centers mostly around Osamu. それと剣の Wistoria. Wistoria, Wand and Sword. Now, this one is a very clear recommendation from me. It's a seemingly a very classic story of a childhood promise, and one of those childhood friends being able to achieve that promise, but the other kind of lagging behind and trying to desperately catch up. We've seen that in Kaiju number 8, which I also recommend, by the way, and it's despite that, no, I wouldn't use that word here. With that, it's a very nice story still. I'm putting it down again. It's a very nice story. That's what I'm gonna say. So far, at least. It's made by Studio Actas, who worked on Princess Principal and Girls und Panzer, and it's a joint venture with Bandai Namco Pictures. Bandai Namco responsible mostly for Gintama and Iruma-kun from the recent releases. I singled out 3 main characters. There's plenty more, but those are like main-ish characters. Kohei Amasaki is playing the role of Will, our main character. He also voiced Fo in Shield Hero, Mephisto in Arc Knights, and Till in Witch from Mercury, the dude with the like bun at the top of his head. We have Akira Sekine playing the role of Elfie. She's also the princess in Princess Principal, the titular character, and Ritsuka in Fate Grand Order. And we also have Satomi Amano playing Colette, one of the arguably main characters, who interestingly has no particularly notable roles. She has some roles, right, for sure, but none of them are like particularly notable. I have not gone through all of the voice actors there, so maybe there are some like higher voice actors with bigger portfolios, but other than that possibility, the main characters are played by fairly, I don't want to say unknown voice actors, but people with not that big portfolios. So, to put long story short, this show has really beautiful art and animation. That's probably one of the biggest catches. It has some amazing sakuga from episode 1, so you don't even need to wait for it to, start chugging along and then show us the big fights. No, it's from episode 1 onwards. We get some really nice sakuga, although there are some rare caveats to that, especially in the most recent episode. I don't know if it's gonna continue or was the one-off. Some like slides and stills started appearing, but perhaps it's just them moving budget where it's needed. If we can represent something with a still frame, we should save up some of that budget to show us some nice Sakuga fight. If that's it, I'm perfectly fine with it. I just worry that it doesn't hit production issues, because we've seen another show that also was beautiful and also had great animation, Zone 100, that ran into some very serious issues, and I hope that doesn't happen this time around. We don't know the amount of episodes, which can also be kind of scary, because are they planning for 12? Are they planning for 24, 48, dare I say? I don't know. So far, it seems to me like it's gonna have in the ballpark of 24 episodes. We'll see about that, of course. The most interesting thing about it is the world building. It really is unique. It really makes me want to theorize about what's going on there. We have like mages, we have like magic barriers, we have worlds being like destroyed, and people coming to different worlds and dimensions and protecting the world from essentially deities. A little bit of like Symphogear, a little bit of Tate no Yusha. It's very cool, very interesting. I'm really wondering where it's gonna go. And as I said, it is a bit of a classic childhood friend Pinky Promise story, but it does have a potential to go in different wild ways. For example, one of the potentials I see in how the story goes is that we just completely kind of discard the main, like, beeline towards fulfilling the promise with the childhood friend, and we fulfill that promise in a completely roundabout way. It's entirely possible, and it really would make for something nice, so maybe they're actually going for that. It's unique like that, and a very, very high recommendation from me. Watch at least episode 1, just for the Sakuga. Bye Bye Earth. Next, we have Bye Bye Earth, which is probably one of the most unique shows that I've seen in a while. And not necessarily because it's dealing with particularly unique themes, or because it does particularly unique things, or because it's particularly well animated, but there is a lot to like here, a lot of unique stuff. The story tells us a story of Belle, who's the only featureless humanoid on the world, planet, moon. We don't really know where we are. We don't really know what's going on. We just know that Belle doesn't have ears, doesn't have horns, doesn't have a tail or fur. She's just a human. And because of that, she's different from everybody else. And we are left wondering why. Did she come here from somewhere else? Was she isekai'd and doesn't remember that? Was she isekai'd as a child? Was she reborn here? Was she brought here on a spaceship? Have people mutated on Earth? Is it Earth? Where the fuck even are we? Very, very cool. High recommendation from me. It's made by Studio Liden Films, who also made Goblin Slayer, Rise no Atelier, Killing Bites, and Yofukashi no Uta, and it does show every now and then. And I noted a couple of roles, plenty of roles actually. Belle, our main character, is voiced by Feiro's Ai, who started appearing in more and more shows recently, I noticed. She's also playing Kikoru in Kaiju Hachigo, Sumireko in Kaito Otome, Delta in Overlord, as well as Hibiki, the main character of Danderu Nankilo Motoru. We have Natsuki Hanae voicing Kitty the Owl. He also voiced Ilan from Mercury Bochan in Shinigami Bochan, and Tanjiro in Kimetsu no Yaiba. We also have Kouki Uchiyama voicing Adonis, as well as Shigaraki in Boku no Hero Academia, Mithrun in Danmeshi, and Ruth in Mahotsukai no Yome. Then we have Satoshi Hino voicing Shandiga. They kind of went for some characters, the gate route of naming people, right? Bozes, Shandiga, stuff like that. He also voiced Momonga-sama from Overlord, as well as Kyojiro in Kimetsu no Yaiba. Then we have Ami Koshimizu voicing Benedictine, and she's also voicing Hello in Spice and Wolf, that I'm also watching this season. She's also voicing Sadina in Shield Hero, Shiori in Prikone, and Karen in Code Geass. And finally, we have one of my favorite voice actresses, perhaps Saori Hayami voicing Shelly. She's also the voice of Visha um, from fuck, how did I forget the name of it? Victoria Srebriakova from Srebriakov, sorry, from Tanya the Evil. Yeah, Saga of Tanya the Evil. She also voiced Kalka in Overlord, or is gonna be voicing because it's like some new season, I believe. She also voiced Shinobu in Kimetsu no Yaiba as well as Nagisa in Blue Archive. The first word that I have in the little note that I have on the topic of Bye Bye Earth is emboldened and italicized, and that word is world building. Quickly followed by two other words, holy shit and an exclamation mark. And that's about the summary of why I really enjoy this show so much. I have never seen a world in any piece of media, really. Maybe in some of the books by Stanisław Lem. Maybe you heard of them. It's like Invincible. They even made a game on the topic, and a couple of other very like classic sci-fi novels where, for example, the whole planet was alive, right? Stuff like that. But other than that, I really don't think I've ever seen a world that would be so alien, but at the same time, so internally consistent. It's very easy to create an alien world, right? I can just take, I don't know, ancient Greece and say that everybody was walking on their arms and everything was all shades of purple and they ate rocks, right? I could do that, but it really wouldn't make sense. This world makes sense, and yet nothing does, which is what makes it so incredibly unique. Plants are animals, animals are plants, swords are grown, gods are cancer. It's just impossible to comprehend, but at the same time, as I said, I know that it can be comprehended because the characters in the show clearly do, and it's no bullshit either. Cool animation, pretty art. It might not be Frieren, it might not be Wistoria, but it's still really good at times. And it really makes me want to speculate so much. I have so many pages in my green notebook. I thought I'm gonna take like, oh, 2 pages of notes, maybe something like that. By episode 2, I had a whole page covered. So I think that speaks volumes on the topic. Though it can be off-putting, depends on what you like. If you like theorizing, just like myself, and you like seeing those things that have no explanation and trying to figure out an explanation for them, you're gonna like it. You're gonna like it a lot. But if you're one of the people who would rather have everything explained to them from the get-go, right? This is the world we live in. This is how it works. This is who we are. This is where we are. You're probably gonna feel very lost, and you might not enjoy it as much. And final note I have is that characters live in this world and understand it, and that's also something fairly unique, because usually when the action of a show is placed in a unique world that is hard to understand, the main character is usually in a fish out of water scenario, so that the main character can be sort of a proxy for the viewer and have things explained to them and thus explained to the viewer. Well, Belle is not that. Belle appeared in this world magically or by however other means as a child. And she's been raised in this world, so she knows exactly what's going on, and everybody else knows what's going on except us, the viewers. And it's kind of refreshing to see. Kono sekai wa fukanzen sugiru. Quality assurance in another world. Now this one's interesting. The title alone probably betrays a little bit about this show, right? Like, we know it's probably a game or something like that. We know that the main character is probably isekai or something along those lines, but it really doesn't tell you everything. This show is so much more than just its premise. I promise you. It's made by 100 Studio, that has some music video under their belt and nothing else, in collaboration with Studio Palette, who's responsible for The Finest Assassin, Kamikatsu, and nothing else. Studios with a very small portfolio, perhaps people gathered from other studios. I don't know their story, but I just know that both of the studios have a very small portfolio of other shows. So it's interesting to see them create something like this, because it really reminds me of what Studio Nut did. Just appeared out of nowhere randomly with just Tanya the Evil and just released a straight banger right from the get-go. Kind of like that. We have a couple of main characters, 4 main characters actually, and I noted out their voice actors. First of all, we have Kaito Ishikawa voicing Haga, our main boy. He's also voicing Naofumi in Shield Hero, Tenya in Boku no Hero Academia, Thorns in Arknights, as well as Genos in One Punch Man. We have Nicola, the first companion that we meet, voiced by Hinaki Yano, who also voiced Kita-san Black in Umamusu and Momoe in Wonder Egg Priority. Then we also have Akira, voiced by Rie Takahashi, who also voiced Ai Hoshino in Oshinoko, Emilia in ReZero, and Megumin in Konosuba. So, plenty of like high up their role, high tier roles, so to speak. And then we have Reiji Kawashima voicing Izora Amano, also voicing Finn in Marshall, Patrick, and Rick in Shadow's House as well. A very interesting cast, because besides Rie Takahashi, everybody else mostly played like secondary roles or background characters. None of them are like highly prominent voice actors or like super highly prominent, and they were given a chance to shine, and in my opinion, they did. First thing that needs to be mentioned about this show, I feel, is very Ghibli-esque art style. The design of monsters, most of all, really reminds me of those like Ghibli movies with monsters that really look like taken out of children's drawings or like fever dreams, right? You know what I'm talking about. You're probably gonna see a dragon or something here, or what passes for a dragon in this show at least. And that's very unique. The art style itself is also very unique, has that sort of like a scratchy, sketchy quality to it, almost like it was actually made with like a very hard pencil on paper instead of being done digitally, which I don't doubt that it actually was done digitally. The art style is probably not going to be for everybody. If you're a stickler for art style being very, easily digestible, you might find this one a little hard to swallow. I was not all that much into it from the get-go. It really was a little bit of pudding for me as well initially, but it really did grow on me. So perhaps it will grow on you as well. Animation, not much to write home about, but it's not a slideshow either, so, it's just solidly done, I'm gonna say. It has a very unique approach to a game-based world, and I don't think I'm gonna say much more on the topic, because there is some, like, spoilery stuff to be had there. There's some very interesting reveals, so I would rather you go into it blind and see those reveals for yourself. A very unique and interesting world within the confines of being a game related world. It's unique in its own way. The interaction with the game part staff and stuff like that, it's really, really cool like that. And again, I'm not gonna tell you much more about it. It also has a very unique bit of mystery, because some things just don't make sense, but in a way where we also know that there is sense to be made, right? Like, things don't make sense right now, but surely they will over time, right? This sort of thing. I can recommend it. I really can recommend you watch at least the first episode because it already has. It's kind of like a vertical slice, a little bit of what this show is, including the like dark undertones that peek underneath. You might be led to believe that it's just going to be a cozy, casual adventure, maybe some comedy, maybe stuff like that, but this show has so much more in store. So, another recommendation from me. Shy Tokyo Dakkan Hen. Shy Tokyo Recapture Arc, or Shy Season 2, or Shy Second Part, or Shy Second Core, or whatever you want to call it, is a sequel to Shy. That's about it. It introduces a new character to Shy's harem. It introduces a new hero, or I think that hero actually appeared before, but now he enjoys a little bit more spotlight. It certainly shows the growth that Shy did get in season 1, right? She's a little bit of a different person than she was, positively speaking, of course. We get another clash with Amara Rirku, to nobody's surprise. That being said, Shy has a propensity to start very slowly, so from all the episodes that I've seen, I haven't seen the latest one quite yet, so I don't know how that one went. It starts very slowly, so it's kind of hard for me to pass any more judgment on it. Because the like meat and potatoes haven't really started yet. So, in general, I would say that if you liked season 1 of Shy, you're probably gonna enjoy this one as well. I think it's a safe bet. And that about sums it up for my midway summary, as I titled this note. All in all, I'm very happy with my selection of shows this time around for this season. None of those shows are ones that I would dislike. None of those shows are bad. Every single one is unique in its own way. Every single one of them makes me wanna talk about it, right? Which is why the episodes I've been releasing have been getting so long, and my antivirus apparently couldn't update. That was the sound, if you could hear it, maybe. So good selection, and I can recommend basically any of those shows to you if you haven't seen it yet. And most of all though, Wistoria and Bye Bye Earth. Those two are, in my honest opinion, a bit of a must, I would say. If you're not watching them, what are you even doing? And yeah, I think that's gonna be it. So tell me, guys, in the comments below, or on my Discord, or wherever you want, wherever you can catch me. If you see me in person, walk up to me. But what the fuck are you doing in Poland? I'm curious. As I said, what do you think of videos of this type? Would you like me to make videos like that for every season of anime that I'm watching? Would you rather I change the formula a little bit? Is this video missing something? Is there too much of something? How would you like it to look? Tell me all about it in the comments on the Discord or wherever else. Preferably for the comments, because YouTube algorithm and stuff like that. And tell me, did I maybe convince you to watch one of those shows? That's also going to be interesting to hear. And how did you like that show after you've seen the available episodes, or however many episodes you decided to watch? That's going to be a lot of comments. Probably not. We'll see about that. As always, like this video if you liked it, subscribe to be notified of future videos whenever they come out. Click the bell to be notified when they do come out eventually, and I also stream sometimes, so you're also gonna be notified when I go live. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon down below, where for $10 a month you get early access to non-seasonal shows, and for just $1 you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. You can also support me directly on YouTube through memberships, super thanks, super chats, and if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you don't have to. Share my content, spread the word. It costs absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And with all of that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers. And here's my wonderful Patreons: QB Without a Nedze, Rainy, Yukiale, Chibi Bro, Dr. Watt, Agamaser, Marsh, Fassel, and Hans Peter. And you can join them if you want. Yeah, you can just join them.